for example, as the price of thorium goes up with regards to transitioning from coal and oil, all of a sudden if we've signed a 35-year lease on it, then we don't have another right of review for 35 years. So that's why I've suggested that it goes back to you to hear again these submissions at a much shorter, and I use 3 years simply because that's our electoral cycle. So if we wanted to make it 5 years or a different time, then we need to go from our electoral cycle, and that's why I suggested 3 years.
Dr. Thompson.
Mr. Young, have you raised this matter with Crown Minerals, the fact that they have, what, in your mind, an incomplete resource application?
Well, it's not incomplete. The company's going after one thing, which is and the way that they suggest in the submissions is that they will use a magnetic process for it. Why I'm addressing your committee and suggesting a centrifuge process in addition to the magnetic process is so that the heavy elements in there, heavier than the iron, is able to be extracted out. Now, they're doing everything according to law, and this issue that I'm talking about now is something that I raised with the Select Committee, that this valuable resource is there and that we need to account for it. I haven't gone back to Crown Minerals with this. Crown Minerals has an interesting history. When the Helen Clark Alliance Labor government was in, basically the Greens policy was such that there was to be limited mining in New Zealand, and so Crown Minerals sort of went down to a skeleton crew. The petroleum, Crown Minerals went down to a skeleton crew. Then when National came in under the John Keys, it's been ramped up since then, and so there's been this, and where we are now is a product of extracting those minerals. So from my perspective, it's a learning process for Crown Minerals as well. They're getting up to speed with their staffing. A number of people there had left, a good lot of experience, and so there was a lot of new people, and there's been lots of changes. This policy that we're talking about now has been brought up with the Select Committee, and I think it's the right process to bring it up with you, because it's a consideration that your body has to get some experts and call further evidence. All I'm doing is raising the flag, and there are other experts that can come in and talk to this that I encourage you to request more information on. And then perhaps Crown Minerals will read the transcript, and then they will go back to the Minister, because it does need to go back to Parliament, the floor of Parliament. And so that's why with an election year coming up, your committee is the right place to raise this, because it highlights something out there where we've got 20 trillion or $20,000 billion worth of Crown Minerals, Dr. Elder's figures, and so those figures need to be looked at. Just to put that into comparison, the entire debt of America is $19 trillion. So that's how wealthy. We're the second wealthiest per capita population on the planet behind Saudi Arabia. So we don't seem to understand that, and this public hearing is about a place for this to be raised, and I'm very thankful that you're there to hear these comments today and record them in transcript, so thank you.
Thank you. I think that's about all we can do. The Exclusive Economic Zone Act excludes sustainability with respect to the resources that are being extracted. So everything else we need to be very careful about. The sustainable use of resources other than those minerals that are being extracted. So you have made your point, but I don't think there's anything we can do as a decision-making committee to give effect to your suggestion or your concerns.
Yeah, but I look at it this way. The Ombudsman Office is there so an individual, through the rule of law, can stand up against government departments that have the full weight of the state and be able to articulate a principle of law. And in this case, I see you very similar as the Ombudsman's Office with regards to standing up. once a company gets a roll on and they've got huge cash flows coming in, their ability to do lots of other things in New Zealand with regards to developing resources is sort of a runaway train situation. And you, being in Ombudsman's position, listening to my concerns and being cautious with regards to entering this negotiation. And so that's why I encourage you to look at those conditions, to say, hey, these other, we just, even if you put down that they analyse what comes up and then they give some data back, because one of the Crown Minerals functions is to attain data from operations that are throughout the country. And so we want to know about our Crown Minerals that are coming up and the concentrations. So a condition that says scientifically we want to know, even if they just flush them back over the side because they're not magnetic, at least we're getting readings of what's there, and that allows better decision making in the future. So that's a condition that I would suggest. Crown Minerals is very specific with regards to the legislation, and as soon as you use the word Crown Minerals, you bring those very delicate minerals into play. They are coming up and they're going to be part of the plume that goes back down. But what we do with them, that is a discussion for ongoing from here. So I see you as an ombudsman's role, and I see you as the ombudsman of this process. And like you say, once they dip their straw into this resource, they don't have sustainability at all. They can go as far, hard and as fast as they like. Is it correct that it's 8,000 cubic metres a day over the next 10 years that they've proposed?
We're not here to answer questions. That's a matter for you entirely, Mr. Young.
Okay.
Thanks, Mr. Young.
Thank you.
Look, Mr. Young, what I can tell you is this, that other submitters have raised questions about minerals in addition to iron ore being recovered as a consequence of this activity. We will be addressing without a shadow of a doubt that question as it applies to the laws in which we operate, and in particular the relationship between the Crown Minerals Act and our duties under the Exclusive Economic Zone legislation. Thank you for your contribution, Mr. Young.
Yeah, I'm here in Tokoroa in the South Waikato, so thank you for connecting by Skype. I appreciate using the latest technology to do that, and it's very helpful for the submitters, and your process has been very easy to follow, so thank you for your time and effort.
Thank you.
Well, there you go. So what we need to do now is put this up on the interwebby, and we have and wait for the transcript and do a link in the descriptions to the transcript. And I'll just check this has all been done correctly.